I appreciate your generosity about my involvement. I think your idea is actually paramount. It's an imperative for our industry right now. We need to find better ways to get to the heart of the matter, which is making money, creating revenue, and enhanced profitability for the future. And that includes bringing in next gen leaders. You know, you got Cody down at Datamats, and you have James Loeffler at Loeffler, and you have all these next gen, really extraordinarily talented younger people. And I really think they hold a lot of the answers for us. No disrespect to the owners, you know, the original founders and owners, but it's the young people who are born and bred. They're raised, they were born and bred on the internet. They're born and bred, you know, doing things that you and I might not normally think about. So we have to research, look hard, study, remember. But these younger folks, that's what they do. I
Well,
mean,
you see, what you just hit on is really the answer. And I mean that sincerely, because I think about my own experience. CJ joined us 13 years ago. 13 years ago, my business model was dead. But, you know, I was, even then I was a pretty old guy and saying, hey, I'm not going to keep doing this, you know, and CJ came in and rejuvenated our business and really put it in a direction. And he's still working on developing something more current, better.
Just look at the cover, you know, behind Mark there. I mean, that's a great indication of what I was just talking about. You know, we need to advance the cause for the younger folks. And I say that with a tremendous amount of respect. Young people have the wisdom, they have the experience, and frankly, the only part I think that they need us for is, you know, the connection between relationship, technology, and process. And that's where the wisdom comes in. So what you're doing right there with the young influencers, what we're doing with the breakaway team, you know, based on the conversations you and I have had, we're going to definitely include this into the Executive Connection Summit agenda. So we'll have breakout meetings prior to the summit and then during, so that we can spend time together, you know, figure out what's working and what needs to work better. So I'm looking at that cover and I love it. I just love it. And people need to read it, see it, understand it. I read a couple of quotes, you know, that I saw in the recent things that you've been doing with CJ and Mark. You know, Mike Lepper came up with a thing of beauty. That quote that you put out there was awesome. I think at this point in our career, our number one responsibility is to extract all of the wisdom we can from young people and help them turn it into a new business model.
Well, you know, I think you're hitting on a very significant point, youth in the business.
The dealers that are guiding their businesses to embrace the younger people, whether it's through the website or LinkedIn or whatever programs that they're creating, they are going to attract better people. And it's the, you know, it's no offense, but it's if the website hasn't been updated, and I'm a young guy or girl coming into the business, you know, and I'm going to get all excited about a copier. I don't think so. So, and the other thing, just last quick comment, one thing I got myself involved with, you know, sometimes you bump into things. I'd rather be lucky than smart. So I ran into a gentleman who introduced me to another lady who's going to be part of our summit, the chairperson for the W.P. Carey Business School. Frank, this lady is absolute genius, down to earth, brilliant. And she introduced, I had no idea this was happening. She introduced me to a whole cartel, if I can use that word, a whole community of young students at ASU, where ASU helps fund their incubator companies. And they have like 10 or 15, 20 companies that are AI generated, or they're doing something, but they're companies. And these young people are passionate about what they're doing. And we're going to bring some of these, you know, young people to ECS.
Good. Yeah, I think that there's part of the answer, in my opinion, what you just said, that we need to, you know, And I've listened to the dealers that I know you and I both respect tremendously. And their attitude towards youth is not what we think there should be. I don't want to mention specific names because it would be embarrassing, but they were I was at a meeting and we're talking about somebody coming in as a new president to a group, and he was on the he was on the youthful side. It means he's less than 50 years old, right? And the Steelers said to me, "Well, I don't know what he's going to be able to bring to the party." And I said, "I beg your pardon." He says, "Well, what could he know about, what's important out there?" It amazed me that, here's a guy who's been has a dealership. He's been a dealer a fairly decent amount of years, and he's not old enough. So if you have very successful people thinking like that, that tempers things, and then maybe works against us as an industry. I just throw that out.
No, you know what? I'm glad you threw that out there because, one of the biggest problems, and this is just a personal opinion, so I have no surveys to support it, but I think one of the biggest problems in our industry is a lack of curiosity, a lack of imagination. They're not curious enough. They're comfortable, as comfortable can be in a very trying market. Everybody's worried about cash flow and profit, but we're not exercising our curiosity. When you and I were growing up in this business, you couldn't help but be curious. You'd get run over. So, and I think that's one of the big missions, I think, for you, me, and others. Get curious, use your imagination, help us to find the answers for wholesale, and I mean widespread profitability and success. Let's not get stuck on debating whether or not, well, this guy does it this way and this guy does it that way. Let's try and figure out a way that works in a modified way for everybody, right?
I just wanted to thank Mike for the kind words about the young influencers issue, and we look forward to the collaboration, Mike. And I want to remind our viewers to please like, share, comment if you have an idea for a future video with Frank. We'd be glad to entertain the thought. So have a good day, everybody.